We are on the way back to Whispering Pines Farm, where we have been before to see the sheep and goats. And this time, we, fingers crossed, might see goats born. And how cool would that be?
Baby goats.
I'm hoping. So I think she has 2 goats that are pregnant and 1 sheep, but the sheep's not due until next week. But she said that it is possible that that goat could have babies while we're there. So the reason why we are going is because we want to talk about how one can start their own sheep farm if they would like to do that. In my last video with Deb, I had a few people ask, how do we start a sheep farm? Why don't we go ask Deb, the expert, and she can let us know. I think we might have some wool over here. I'm going to pick some up. You could take it home with you. Do something with it.
It's got some ice in it too.
That's a big old bag of corn. Deb, how fast do they go through that corn?
You know, I think we're getting a pretty good load every other week. 1,500 pounds, what does that look like? And participating, and they were, go ahead. Now, if you could see a live birth, you'd be pretty excited about that, wouldn't you?
My gosh, it would be absolutely amazing. Okay, that's going to be better.
We had coyotes out here first thing this morning.
How do you get rid of
Well,
them?
my dogs won't let them come in the pasture, but you know,
Okay,
I'll tell you,
so-
coyotes are pretty scary because they travel in packs, and what they do, they're smart in an evil sort of
Yes,
way. And what they
yes.
do is they'll have some that are kind of like encouraging the dogs to come over there, and then they sneak around the backside to take anybody vulnerable, you know. So it's pretty scary, but they were right there on the other side of the woods right there.
It's a wildlife.
Yeah.
Wildlife.
Well, predators for the prey.
Yeah, that's right.
But my dogs, you'll see a bunch of dogs passed out in the pasture because they're up all night keeping the babies
They're
safe.
wiped out. I
Yeah.
thought, how many Great Pyrenees do you have?
Well, when you hear coyotes right next door, not nearly enough, that's for sure.
Oh, I bet.
But we've got at least 2 in each pasture. There's only 1 in this pasture, but these, they're really close up here to the front, and they don't go to that back line.
They are so cute. Look how woolly. Look at all that wool. Oh, taking a drink. So when are they due?
These girls are due next week. I have the goats, several of them are due this week. Hopefully they'll get it out before the
Snow?
snow and the sleet
Yeah.
and all that great stuff.
Have you
know,
had-
they usually like to wait for the worst weather possible, and then let's do it now.
Right. Have you had any already give birth?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been waiting on pins and needles. You know, that's the thing. It's like there's some due yesterday, some due today. Not a single baby on the property yet. And everybody's just so anxious. I want to snuggle babies. And I'm like, they haven't been born yet, okay? Right here, I can show you a few things about the sheep. I mean,
Yep.
full as I need her to be, but she's for sure starting to fill up some milk. The other girl is too. The one on the left, not so much. In fact, her due date is next week, and she doesn't really have any milk yet. So it might be that we didn't quite get the right date on there, and that happens.
Yep,
So,
just like humans. Mm-hmm. Look at this lovely.
that's Shelby.
Hi,
She
Shelby.
said, I've been a nervous wreck today because there was a coyote very close to my girls, and I didn't like it.
Well, you're a good protector.
She said, I'm not going to let anything happen to anyone. I'm on the job.
You are beautiful. Yes, you are.
She's a good-looking girl, isn't she?
So are the coyotes just afraid they wouldn't come close to her?
Well, what these dogs, they have size. They're bigger than a coyote because coyotes are smaller than this. They're kind of like a small, medium dog, size dog, typically. Wolves, of course, are going to be bigger. But they travel in packs, so there's always a lot more than one. So it's pretty tough for one dog. But if she makes a lot of noise, that usually keeps them at bay a little bit. But, you know, when we start having lots of live births and they can smell that and they hear the babies, it's going to encourage them to come. If they're here in broad daylight, that's a problem because usually they're nocturnal hunters. And if they're here in broad daylight in the morning,
Right.
after they've been keeping my dogs up all night and the dogs start to pass out because they're exhausted from a 12-hour shift with no breaks.
Yeah.
That's
frightening.
That is frightening. Those girls are thinking about being fed. That's what they're thinking about. So that's why they're so vocal.
Tell us what you got going on out here with these kids and.
So these kids were part of my 4-H group when we were in Greenville, in Malden, and we had a Greenville County 4-H group. And Jackson here was 5 years old.
Wow.
And his brothers he's the oldest one, and so all the gang came out, and he learned how to do everything, how to be there and watch the signs of labor, what to do with the babies when they come out. We even had the first dairy sheep show in the United States, and he showed when he was 5 years old.
What an
and won first
awesome
place.
experience.
Sure did. You still got that ribbon, don't you?
That's awesome.
So it's an amazing, amazing program. You know, we had about 90 kids coming. And I knew in Greenville County, none of those kids had land to have their own animals, but I wanted them to experience as much as they could, being around animals, working around a farm. Everything they were able to do was with my animals, and it was because, you know, I gave them that opportunity, and I thought it was really important. And you don't think watching them have babies is too gross, is it?
No.
It's kind of nasty, but
Yeah, there's a few parts, but
it's pretty neat having those babies come out, isn't it?
yeah. It's really slippery when they come out.
They're slippery when they're kind of gooey when they come out, aren't they?
But when it's trying to pull it back in.
Yeah, sometimes it seems like that mama, you think she's pushing out and they go back in and they come in and out, and sometimes we have to help them. And y'all had like a towel ready to catch the baby, didn't you?
Yeah, we caught
So.
it, and then it slid out.
It's a learning experience. We're getting good at it, right?
Good for
Now
them.
you guys know what to do. And you can teach other people, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work around the
Pros.
farm, isn't it? But it's good work.
For sure.
Oh, he's got a stick. Okay.
So much great experience.
Yeah. All right, what have you seen today?
Has tried to have labor, but not any real.
Not active labor. There's not a baby coming out. You thought there was earlier, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it said there's a baby out, and it was just a clump of grass or something like that. But I got to tell you, when we're ready to have babies, you can imagine a lot of things. You can
yeah.
see babies popping out everywhere, and you know, you run out there and there's nothing there.
Sometimes they don't come out.
They're not ready. They'll come out when they're good and ready. That's the tricky part.
Yep.
You can have all the dates you want, but not everybody has their baby on a due date.
They're ready, but they're not.
That's right. But you watch. What do you watch for? What are some signs? Is there some signs that you see?
When they are pawing the ground.
Yeah.
And.
Do they get up and lay down different ways?
Yeah. They
Trying
lay
to
down
position
more,
that
like,
baby?
They try to
Yeah.
position it that way to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And they go away from most of the herd or flock. And.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's the proper way? What do you want to see when the baby comes out?
Toes.
Yep. You see two little toes?
And their head.
And
Yeah.
then their head.
And then
What's
they
the
just
first
come
thing? Do you see the whole head or?
Their
Well, you
nose.
could. Yeah, you see that little nose come out and they just come out like this.
One time there was its tongue sticking out.
Yep.
It's the way it is.
They're still working on that corn, so we'll just go on and do our stuff. Hey, Remy. Remy wants to help.
Are you okay if your son is on YouTube?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Thanks for asking.
Yes. Oh, so beautiful out here.
It's cold, but it's nice.
It
the
is.
sun is shining. It's not
And since
raining.
It's not windy. It's tolerable for sure. You guys know I'm not a cold girl, but it's okay because I got my gloves on.
These sheep over here are due. They should go before anyone else. And there's 3 girls right here that are very ready. They're kind of right at the tail end of the ones that are going here. So to be like 1, 2, and then up there 3 as far as the sheep.
Where do they go when they give birth? Do they just do it right there, or they
Yeah,
kinda
so-
tail off?
So these girls, they lambed in their pasture just fine, and so I'm not changing anything for them. They're used to it. They're close to the gate so we can get in and out. It's easy to see most of this pasture because, you know, some of these pastures are so spread out or there's so many hidden places. You spend more time looking than doing everything else that you have to do. This pasture here has a little pen on that side, and we can put them in that smaller spot. Right now they're not that close, so I thought, well, just let them kind of hang out and chill out and just enjoy life. But they're separated from the others, so we know which ones we need to watch because they're due pretty soon. And you don't want them to go a week early, but they can sure go a day or two early. They can be a day or two late, sometimes up to a week. So
Right.
I don't like a preemie. I'd rather them be full term. But, you know, if it's a matter of 96 hours, that's not the end of the world. So we've had some that were pretty early and we had to work with them, but you know, it's nice if they just go the whole time. The goats are due first. So here at Whispering Pines, we have dairy sheep, dairy goats, and dairy cows. We got the Jersey cows out there. And we make products from all three. And I've started so many people homesteading, and really that's a passion to get it going. And I find if they don't have animal experience, and these days, there's very few people that have animal experience anymore. If they don't already have a farm, they got to learn from the beginning. And you know, if you're not around animals, it's a huge learning curve.
For sure.
And so what I try to promote is having people start with bottle babies. Since we have a dairy and we don't have huge barns or facilities for housing animals, we take all the babies and bottle feed them. So we become the moms to the babies. And to me, if a person's trying to learn how to start a farm and how to start with this thing, either with the dairy goats or the dairy sheep, it's a little more labor intensive, but no one has ever begrudged all the labor of love working with the newborns because you learn everything about them. You're so invested in them. You know their personalities. You know what we had the 4-H kids. They got to take the babies home for a certain period of time, and the moms that were bringing their kids back and then the babies back, they'd say, well, we're calling this one Alice, and she likes to be scratched right here. And this one's Fred, and he would like for you to cuddle him. He likes to snuggle more than Alice. And then those moms had separation anxiety when they had to bring the babies back because they had bonded so much with them. But if you had those babies for their whole life, and your kids get to watch these babies, and they've nurtured these babies into the babies become adults, and then they get bred and they have babies next year. What a beautiful thing for the family. And there's not an animal mentioned more than sheep in the Bible.
That's right.
And there's so many life lessons. You can just have spiritual analogies all day long working with sheep. Just being able to experience life with animals. And all animals have personalities. A lot of people don't realize that, but they do. And if kids can learn how to work with different personalities on that nonverbal level, it just becomes part of who they are. And then they can interact socially with humans. You know, they've learned how to do this, and it's great. And it's great for mental health. You're outside, you're working with animals, you're bonding with them, you got physical activity out in the sunshine and nature and all of creation. What a beautiful way to grow up.
Absolutely.
And you know, just kids need to get out of the house. Now, Aaron's boys, they're rough and tumble guys. They got all their camouflage and coveralls and all that, and they're ready to go. But not every kid gets to do that. And these boys have just come out here on a regular basis where they can just get out here and work with the animals, and they have a good understanding about it. And a lot of kids would just about throw up if they saw afterbirth, you know, because they've never seen anything like that. But this is all very, very normal and natural. It's just
And
a lot of kids don't
healthy.
get, and healthy.
It's
yeah.
so healthy, especially for the mind.
Yeah.
What is the Bible verse where it talks about like when we don't have something to focus on, it's the devil's playground?
Well,
I can't think of that first.
Yep.
But when we are focused on things and we have tasks, game changer.
Oh,
Big
yeah,
time.
absolutely.
Healthy tasks.
Yeah. Well, and it's important tasks. You know, they used to say, well, these kids at school would have this job that they got paid for to turn on an automatic sprinkler system. Well, you know, all right. Do they really care about that? No, because it's not important. But if you tell that child, I need you to water these animals, and if they don't water them, those animals die, it's a huge responsibility. I think that's the problem with a lot of kids. You know, you tell kids to go out and play these days, they don't know how to do it.
That's right.
But you grew up on a farm, you don't even get to play. You know, you can swing on the swing set for a minute, then we're going to go out here and we're going to clean this, and we're going to do that, and there's always something to do.
Oh, they want loving too. You are so cute. Look, you want some more scratches? Shake your paw. Nice to meet you.
Now these girls probably won't want us to come up close to them.
Oh,
They're a little sensitive at this time of their life.
Boomer. So they're marked.
Yep.
What is that saying?
That's just saying these are the ones that are due first.
Okay.
And then we decided to put them in a different pasture, so we stopped marking them.
Okay.
What we did to say they're right away is we would shear a little bit on their backside so we could
Yes.
watch the udder development and see what's going on with their vulva, check her tendons and stuff. So I think she's going to go first. Now you see it may not mean anything to you, but her teat is rather large. Now goats are made with their teat straight down. Sheep still have them, you know, off to the side and forward a bit. But they've got nice udder development. In other words, they have a lot of milk. And you can see they're very selective in their grazing. And I don't know if you can tell, but we planted this pasture. And so I've got kale,
Yep.
I've got
Wow.
radishes, I've got rye, and there's some clover in here. So what I want when I have a pasture for my animals is I want a nutrient-dense pasture. So it's going to have the legumes, the forbs, the brassicas, and the grasses. And typically there may be oats or rye. There's also some vetch here, and that looks like this right here, these little long things, and that's a legume as well. So they've got, and we haven't had the best season. We had a drought, and the drought was pretty significant. There was a thing called army worms that comes and eats really more of the monoculture pastures. So what I mean by that is a lot of hay fields have, you know, if they're selling rye hay or Bermuda hay or whatever kind of hay, it's a monoculture because they don't want to have anything else in there. If they're selling you that type of hay, that's what they want in the hay bale, right? And so it seems like the army worms would come and devour their pastures.
How do you get rid of them?
Well, they haven't got a cure on it yet. There's ideas and stuff, but they just come in and wipe them out, wipe out the land. We had so much of the polyculture with lots of different ingredients, if you will, in the pasture, that the army worms didn't bother us. There were some pastures that I didn't plant as heavily, and they were worked on a little bit. And this farm here is 180 acres, and out on the very back part, the remote parts, we've got several stands of what's called native forage. It's native to the area and it grows well, and we have a good stand. And there's lesbadeza and there's some bluegrass and things like that. The blue stem that is something that's always going to grow. You don't have to plant it, and it's resistant to the type of weather we have. And even during the drought, it was good.
I've had people on my platform reach out and ask, you know, how do you start a sheep farm? So let them know what to do. And I'll also put Deb's information in the description below if you would like to know. If you would like to know how to start, you can reach out to Deb. So
the way I like to start people, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, is I think it's important if they don't have a whole bunch of animal experience to start with bottle babies. You don't need a lot of space to do that. You don't need a lot of room. As far as your acreage, you can do pretty good on 1 acre. The more land, the better. And if you have 1 acre, you can divide it into 4 sections, and they're going to rotate. You also need a barn and some facilities to keep your feed and that kind of thing, and a place to milk. So we start people with bottle babies. They're a couple weeks old when you get them. You raise them until they're ready to wean, and we teach each level as you're in that level. So there's no sense in talking about breeding when you have a bottle baby, because you're never going to remember it, and it's not the right time. Just learn it one step at a time. It's the best way to do it. You start out with bottle babies. We walk you through that. We walk you through the weaning, then how to have good health during the summer, then in the fall for breeding season. So if you get lambs at the beginning of the year, I expect that you can breed them in the fall. You have to raise them, make them big and strong and healthy so that they'll be ready for the next stage of life. And we breed them, and then by the spring you're going to have babies, and you're going to have been here several times and learn how to milk, learn how to process the milk. We teach people how to milk, how to hand milk, how to machine milk. We sell the equipment, anything you need, we have it here, because if we're going to teach you, it's easier to teach you on the equipment we're familiar with. and I don't get the junk or the cheapest stuff on the internet, and you're not going to find my methods, except maybe now, on the internet, because I have a very specific way to do it, because I want you to be successful. Anybody that starts, it would be pointless for me to just sell animals with no instructions with people, because there's not that much out there, and there's a lot of confusing and conflicting things on the internet. So if you'll just follow my methods, I'll walk with you through the journey. And I think that's what people like the most. I don't sell the cheapest ones, and I don't care if everybody buys my sheep. We have really good ones, and I want people to take really good care of them, and I really just prefer to work with people that are teachable. I know that just seems wrong sometimes, but I really want them to be successful. And if they start finding stuff on the internet, let's try this and let's try that, and I get so many stories that, well, I tried this because it seemed like a good idea, or it was cheaper, or it was faster, or something, and then obviously it's hard to fix that because it's not part of the plan. And I just need teachable people, and I can help them. And I have so many success stories of people that just followed the program, asked questions. I don't mind you asking questions. I'd rather you ask questions, because if you're getting my babies, I want the babies to prosper. I want you to prosper. I want everyone to do well. And it's a beautiful experience when things work out. And of course, when you're getting infants, things can go wrong. But if you stay in tune to the animals, learn how they are, and learn their behaviors, you're going to be a better shepherd when you're ready to go to the next level. If you don't have any idea, I mean, there's people that want to buy pregnant animals because they can get there, they're saving a year, right? But they don't know the animals don't know them. They have to go to a place that they've never been before, that's unfamiliar for them. And then they're going through a part of their life that's, you know, very trying and very stressful, moving to a new location, and nobody likes change. Animals are the same. They don't like change. They like a routine. And then you have to, and it can be done. And I've sold people pregnant animals if they had a lot of livestock experience or some experience. If you want to get hair sheep, they're not dairy animals, and they're great sheep, and you can do everything wrong and they survive. But if you have a dairy sheep that's going to be producing milk, they're going to be producing meat, and they're going to be producing wool, there's a way different way to take care of them. Because the way God designed the hair sheep is a meat sheep, that's all they produce. All they have to do is eat a little bit and get fat, and they don't need that much nutrition. But when you have an animal that's growing and getting a larger size than those animals, they're growing wool, they're growing themselves, and then at some point they're growing a fetus inside of them and growing an udder, that's a huge nutritional need. And any ladies that have ever breastfed know you can eat whatever you want. You don't gain weight because you burn so many calories. Well, if that energy is leaving a dairy animal, obviously you're going to have to put that energy back in. You can't just say, eat this grass that has a 10% protein when you need 23%, and you're going to be successful. It's not going to work. And it's just like you would understand if a mom had 6 kids, you know, she could probably burn a lot of calories, and she could be really busy, but she doesn't have time to sit down and have glorious meals, right? She's doing everything on the run, and it's stressful. Same thing with a sheep that may be producing an awful lot of milk. You need to return the energy that comes out from them. And I think that's where people make the most mistakes. And a lot of people think, oh, dairy sheep aren't parasite resistant. Well, how can they be parasite resistant if you starve them to death, you draw everything you can from them, and they're feeding triplets and feeding your family milk, and you're giving them 10% protein, which is like, you know, getting a McDonald's Happy Meal and expecting to be healthy. You know, it's just, you know, when you compare it like that, it makes sense to people. But a lot of people, well, I want them grass-fed. Well, that's absolutely fine. But what are you talking about? Are you talking about grass that's in a pasture that hasn't been placed with legumes and brassicas and things that have minerals and extra protein? They need that protein to be able to produce the milk and keep their body weight up so that their immunities don't drop. Because when their immunities drop, the first thing that happens is the parasites take over. The other thing people don't understand about rotational grazing and about grazing period is you want that forage to be at least 4 inches. Why? Because when parasites leave their larvae on the grass, that larva can climb up 2 inches, 2 to 3 inches. So if you have something down on the ground they're basically consuming what's going to kill them later. They're consuming the parasites as they're trying to forage for food. And at this time of year, I always have hay out because there's just not enough forage. It's the winter. Things don't grow in the winter. Now you can look across my pastures and you'll see where I have spent time planting cool season forage that grows in the winter. But if you don't have the right conditions, it just doesn't pop up. So we've done all the things, and we can't make it rain and we can't change the temperature, but we can provide hay for the animals if they don't have enough forage to eat. So we always have something for them to eat that's healthy. Good green hay, not the cheapest, moldiest stuff you can find, because they go, oh, sheep and goats, they don't need good hay. Well, you know, you get what you pay for, and what you put into an animal is what you're going to receive back.
That's a wrap at the farm, and unfortunately they have not had babies, but I got to milk a cow.
I'm gonna aim for the center so you know what the
I'm
milk
just
looks
squeezing
like.
it.
So you're gonna pinch at the top,
Okay.
and then squeeze with the rest of your fingers.
Okay. You're a pro, and I. Oh, I'm getting in the wrong direction. Is that getting better?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Woo!
Yeah, okay, let's do the front ones.
Okay. You're pretty. So pretty. Guys, this is the best day of my life.
There we go, looks good. Let's move to the other one.
So you're just releasing pressure? Is that
So
what?
you're checking to make sure that nothing's wrong with her milk. You just want to make sure that her milk is good for human consumption. So
Okay.
you're seeing, like if her milk is watery or chunky, bloody, and things like that. All right, good.
Can I pet her? Or does she not appreciate that?
Let's do it.
Hello. That was so cool. I've been wanting to do that for so long, and finally I got my opportunity with Buttercup. Buttercup. She didn't kick me. I wasn't sure what to expect. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And I know this isn't for everybody, but I know that if someone is interested in starting their own sheep farm, that they're going to find this information so valuable, and lots of questions that you'll probably have for Deb. Again, I'm going to put her information in the description below so that you can reach out to Deb. She's very excited about answering your questions because she's very passionate about this, as you can tell in the interview. So thanks so much for being here. And if you would like to help support me, then you can go and buy my ebook, which is a 7-day reboot, which is going to help you get back on track or cleanse, detox, introduce you to some new foods that maybe you don't usually eat. I keep saying that the wrong way. We crave what we eat. And so this helps you to crave the right things. And in 7 days, it can really change what's going on in here. So thank you so much for being here, and you guys have a great day. Thanks for coming along and doing all the hard work.
It's fun.